8:26. Let's head into the Zoom room where we have Guam Fire Chief Dan Stone standing by. Good morning, Chief. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Bree. Good morning, Chris. How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. I know it's been a minute, so wanted to just kind of catch up with you on an update with what's going on with Guam Fire. We'll just give you the floor, Chief, and then we did have some questions. So, where are we now? Is the whole island kind of returns to this cliche, the sense of normalcy? I know with Guam Fire, I mean, it's been pretty normal and then some for the duration of this pandemic, right? So, where are we now?
The men and women of the Guam Fire Department continue their efforts to continue to battle against COVID. We've made some really great headway as far as the department is concerned. We've gotten, some of the good things is that we've gotten really good at our responses, and some of the bad things is that we've gotten really good at our responses. So, and that's a direct indication that everybody in the field, they get it, they understand the magnitude of the situation. And even though, we continue the effort of vaccinating everybody on Guam, or the effort to vaccinate everybody on Guam, we're still not out of the woods yet. So we still see our positives, and we will handle them as such. And other than that, I'm very proud of everything that they've been doing. They've kind of made my job fairly easy.
I wanted to follow up on just like the vaccination rate over at GFD, because I was kind of surprised when we heard about the positives at GFD, and then to hear that the two firefighters, I believe, or was it one, that was not vaccinated.
And I'm sorry, Bree, I'm having a really hard time hearing you. You're coming in very faint.
I wanted to follow up on the vaccination rate of GFD, the firefighters and the personnel there, because when we heard about the positive case over the two positive, right, over at GFD, and to hear that I believe it was one of them was not vaccinated.
Right.
Right, that's correct. So you're correct. So the Guam Fire Department, as it stands, as of yesterday, I get an updated report from my infection control officer, and as of yesterday, we have a total of 176 of our firefighters and 18 of our emergency medical dispatchers that are fully vaccinated. And then, of course, the rest of those who have not taken the vaccine have had their, the reasons for not taking the vaccine. And we respect it because obviously it's still very much a volunteer vaccination. So I'm very proud of that. So as a department, we're about 84% fully vaccinated.
What are your guys saying, Chief, when you find out they just don't want to get the vaccine?
The reasons run the gamut from their lifestyle just doesn't they feel that their lifestyle doesn't make them vulnerable, or they're just the wait and see approach. They're not certain yet. They just kind of want to see what comes out of everything that's going on as far as all the other vaccinations, and as they continue to develop and improve, what those results will be. That's been it for the most part.
Mm-hmm. I remember when things really started to ramp up with COVID, the Guam Fire Department, they stood up those COVID transport units. Is that still in place?
Thanks for that question, Drew, because once we had that second surge and we started to see that huge uptick in numbers, there was a definite need to be able to stand up these transport units. We were fortunate at that time. We were also recipients of about 7 new ambulances at that time, I think. So that afforded us the opportunity to stand up those dedicated units. With the continued vaccination efforts, and as we get closer and closer to achieving hopefully herd immunity, we've seen those numbers come down. So we have been able to take two of the 3 transport units offline. And maintaining the one, and then redeploying the staff back out to the respective fire stations.
Chief, do you know the status of the COVID differential pay? Because we're just hearing from a few different agencies that a lot of them are behind.
That's correct, and Guam Fire Department is one of those agencies. We're working very hard to get caught up in that with that differential pay. So it's my understanding, I believe we're about 4 weeks behind, but we're making efforts every pay period to try and whittle away at that and get us all caught up.
Is that more of a funding issue or is that a paperwork issue?
Or both?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Bree.
Funding or paperwork, Chief?
So it's a little bit of both. So it's a funding issue, but it's also paperwork. You know, it's just getting our paperwork together and making sure we've got all the dot all the I's, cross all the T's, so that when it gets sent over to DOA for processing, it meets the muster for the requirements and the justifications.
So we have the money. It's just a matter of the paperwork.
Yeah, part of it's administrative, and then it's making sure we get the funding for it as well.
Right.
Another thing we've heard from other agencies, law enforcement agencies, for example, GPD, they've seen a lot of police officers resign, going to higher paying jobs, going to the military. We heard about what happened at the Guam International Airport. The airport police officers also leaving. Just yesterday, we had the customs director also telling us about he's seen people leaving his agencies. What about the fire department? Are you seeing people resigning, retiring?
Leaving for better pay?
So actually, I don't think we have that situation going on with the Guam Fire Department right now. The normal attrition, people do retire as they reach the retirement age and they feel like it's time to move on. They definitely do submit for their retirements. But as far as anybody resigning and moving on to bigger and better or greener pastures, I have not seen that happen with the Guam Fire Department.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much you start as a firefighter, you retire as a firefighter.
Right, yeah.
So where are you guys though on manpower?
So we are definitely starting to feel the challenges in that area. Our staffing, with people retiring, because people did retire during COVID. People have retired early on this year. We've had retirements in 2019. So we are definitely working with the administration to try and address that and get that staffing, for the hires and promotions. Promotions are very important to me right now because we do have a little bit of a gap in our first line supervision. And so we've been working very closely with the administration, and it looks like we're going to be making some progress in that area here soon.
You said retirement. Is there how many people are retiring? Is it a pretty high amount?
No, not in the totality of the situation, but we've had a few. Let's see, we've had 2020. We had about 7 or 8, if I recall correctly, and then this year we've had 4, if I'm not, and we have a couple of more coming up within the year.
Are we seeing any new cycles coming up?
Well, that's definitely a hope of mine, Bree. That's for sure. And so again, that is one of those efforts that I'm working with the administration to address. And again, it is definitely a need to get that next cycle running. And so we're very hopeful and optimistic that that'll happen soon.
Chief, when we talk about the next cycle, I mean, the question I think of is what makes a good firefighter? So in your opinion, what makes a good firefighter?
What makes a good is somebody who's, who has a love for the job one. You have to be able to work with people because you're going to be working with somebody for 24 hours. So you really do have to have that kind of relationship at the fire stations. Working with the public, you run, there's a lot of dynamics in the communities that we serve. So being able to work in that environment is very important. And of course, running into a building that's on fire when everybody else is running out. So you got to be able to want to have the desire to want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything you can tell us about that DeWitt warehouse fire? Adriana was there just earlier this week, and she had noticed some ATF agents there, and I'm just kind of wondering why ATF is also involved.
Oh, so ATF involvement was a request from the resident agent in charge here at the ATF office here on Guam. It's my understanding because of the warehouse. Because of the insurance policy for the warehouse, that kind of drives that. There's a threshold that drives that requirement, and so he reached out to our fire prevention folks and requested to see if they can join in the investigation. And of course, I'm not going to turn them away because they bring some assets and some equipment that we can benefit from.
Chief, sorry, I haven't been following it, but are you guys like investigating arson as a possible cause for that fire?
Chris, we're still in the investigative stage. It is a process, and so we don't rule out anything at this particular point. It has been a little bit of a labor process because getting through the debris at the fire has been proven challenging because as we sift through it, it starts to smolder a little bit more, and then we kind of the inspectors have to back out because we have to worry about respiratory protection and things of that nature. And then we have to reapply some water to make sure we extinguish, and then they go back in after the smoke is cleared. So it's been a little bit of a process, but while they're extinguishing any smoldering fires, there's also the effort with paperwork, reviewing documents, getting interviews done, things of that nature. So I suspect that we should, I'm pretty confident we should have this wrapped up here by the end of the week, hopefully. Is what I'm being told. So even with my briefing with the ATF RAC, he was pretty confident that they'll be able to wrap it up soon.
Chief, you talked about kind of struggling with manpower issues. Does that mean that all of our like fire trucks are properly manned in the stations? I mean, are we experiencing any shortages that could jeopardize the level of service from Guam Fire?
Well, that's a good question, Chris, and I appreciate it. So although we have our staffing challenges, we make everything work. And so we've been able to keep the mission requirements, the staffing requirements where they're at, or at the minimums. And then we won't get to that point. We won't get to a point where we have any service degradation, hopefully. And if we do, then we'll have to address it at that time. But at present, we are maintaining our operational standards.
Chief, just going back to the DeWitt fire, are you able to tell if did the building have fire suppression systems in place?
So you mean a sprinkler system?
Yeah, for the DeWitt.
Correct. So no, it's not required for that facility. The requirement for sprinkler systems, from what I was explained, from what I was told from my fire prevention folks, is 12,000 square feet. That facility is actually 11,000 square feet, so it doesn't require a sprinkler system. However, it did have a functioning alarm system.
Oh, functioning alarm. Okay. What about this high pile permit?
Correct. You've been doing your homework. Yes.
Adriana had it in her story.
I don't even know what that is.
I think it's like if you pile stuff high, you need to have a permit.
Hence the name, yes, very good. So the DeWitt was cited for not having the high pile permit, and was directed to proceed to DPW to obtain that permit, and so they were cited for that violation.
Mm-hmm. What kind of citation is it? It's like you pay a fine, or it's just like just go get the permit?
Correct. It's a civil violation. So the first offense, I believe, is $100 for the offense. Second offense, I believe, goes up to no less than $400, and then it incrementally goes up. And then I believe after the fourth offense, you actually have to go to court.
Wow.
Is that $100 per day?
It's $100 for the violation.
Wow.
Oh, just okay.
One time.
So I need a permit when we start fiestas again because I always stack my plate high.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
That's
You didn't need to hear that.
It wasn't worth catching. Chief, I kind of wanted to ask just about your the military service. So I know that you were appointed as, God, it's slipping my mind a little bit, but has that kind of presented a challenge in just being able to carry out your duties as the chief? And are you looking at any other future military deployments? I mean, it is what it is, right? I'm not nitpicking. I'm just wondering.
So I'm not sure I heard the whole question, Chris. You were mentioning something about military deployment.
Right. Are you? So you were appointed, right, as over at the, was it the Air Reserve or?
Oh, Air Guard. Right.
Okay.
Correct. So I am the current command chief for the Air Guard. Yes.
And so I'm just wondering, do you have any future deployments coming up? And does that kind of present a challenge in you being able to carry out your duties as the chief? Because it's something we hear law enforcement, they're always talking about military commitments affecting just like service and, you know what I mean?
And that's a fair question, Chris. So does it prove challenging? Sure, but it's all about time management. And some of the reasons why I'm able to carry out both responsibilities, the fact that we have really good staff on hand to be able to if I do get called up to military service or I have to travel off island for military duties, I've got chief officers that are fully capable of being able to fill in temporarily until I get back, and so that definitely helps me in being able to manage my military career, and then. On the other side of the coin, on the military side, we have some very talented airmen up at the Air Guard as well. That while I'm in my fire chief capacity, they're able to maintain the day-to-day business of the Air Guard, and they always keep me informed of what's going on or what I need to know. As far as deployments are concerned, yeah, I think I've promoted myself out of deployments, Chris. So and that's not a complaint. I'm happy to stay home.
Just so
I've done my share.
Right. So when you go on the military leave or assignments or whatever, do you still get paid GFD? I mean, not just for you, anybody.
So you would if you have your military leave, you can use your military leave for the government of Guam, and if anything, I would go on annual. I would have to take annual leave.
And then I guess last question, Chief, is we talked about the manpower shortages and the fire trucks, and you had said that you guys make sure you meet all the minimum requirements. So what is like the minimum requirement for personnel on a fire truck?
So it would be no less than 3. Right. So we run about that, on good days when we have everybody back from, so as you can imagine, we have some of our firefighters who are doing their military duty, as coincidentally. And are on orders to support in other efforts. And so as we get them returned back into the ranks, we're able to plus up on our trucks where we need. And so I'm looking forward to them coming back off their military requirements.
Right on, Chief. I think that's about it. We definitely appreciate your time. And we'd like to, I was talking to Cherika, it'd be cool to get you guys to come on. We do it with, Sergeant Paul and Guam Police, but maybe every other week just to, stay visible and show the public, because you guys do a lot of great stuff, especially responding, right? So
no, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'd love to make that happen. I mean, whether it's you or, Cherika or any of the battalion chiefs or anybody.
Sure, we're happy to help out in that regard. So, Cherika's been doing a phenomenal job with the absence of Kevin, who's on military duty. So what wound up happening is, as you've already stated, as we start getting closer and closer to whatever that new normal is going to be for us, everybody has to kind of pick up on their responsibilities in the military uniform, and because some of them were able to say, hey, Commander, I'm an essential employee here at the Guam Fire Department. If you take me out of the Guam Fire Department, we kind of impact. And so, I have to say thank you to the commanders who were very receptive and understanding of that, and were able to work with us to help us out in that regard. But now that we're getting a little bit easier, and not easier, our responses to COVID have lessened. We're able to allow them to return back to satisfy their military responsibilities. So, yeah, and if I could, I just want to say, once again, thanks to everybody in the Guam Fire Department, all the personnel, everybody that supports us. We've had tremendous support from the administration as well. All the other key stakeholders, Guam Memorial Hospital has been huge for us. Public Works has been Public Works, public health, just that whole collaborative effort that's been going on over the past almost 14, 15 months now. Couldn't have done it without them, so thanks to everybody.
Well,
and thanks to you guys for keeping everybody informed.
Well, thanks, Chief, and again, thanks to everybody over at GFD.
Thank you.
Take care. Stay safe.
You too. Take care.
Thank you, Chief.